I don't use I've used Zoom before, but I don't use it often. So I think I got it down, but I still might have a
Well,
teaching curve on it, but it's perfectly fine.
that's okay. So you see the button on the bottom where it says share?
Yes,
You click on that and it's gonna say share entire.
right,
So you click on that and then you're able to just browse through your presentation or computer.
right. Well, I'll wait for you to tell me when you want me to share, and then I'll
Yeah,
go from
I
there.
mean it's probably gonna be until 10 after like 5 after 10, just because we allow
Okay,
people to, yeah, it's
not a
fine.
problem. If I can get this live side, there we go. How many people are you expecting today?
It varies, honestly. It can be anywhere between 15 to 30, sometimes even more.
Sure. No, not a
Okay.
problem. Just
Thank you, Mark.
I always have to report the number attended on my
Oh,
side. So
you'll
that's
definitely see it on the participants on the bottom, and I'll give you details on the type of audience you have going on.
sure. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem.
So you guys staying busy, hopefully this year. Good, good first quarter.
Good morning. Hi, how are you? Yes, we are. Can't
Good.
complain. Can't complain. Even though it's been a little weird. I don't know. People are like the changes in the economy, the new tariff. Yes, no. I feel
Well, it's
people
something we've never been through before, so I'm sure everybody's not sure what's going to happen. So
and people don't know what to do. I
yeah,
feel like not everybody's pulling the trigger in this first quarter because of that.
yeah,
They're kind of waiting and waiting, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's going to pick up now because
yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
wait.
Yeah, with the marketing, look like markets starting to settle type of deal. You should see the interest rates start dropping down, which would be a good thing.
It will be, and hopefully DeSantis remove the property taxes. That will be amazing for Florida.
If someone said that to you a year ago, you'd think, "What are you drinking?" You know?
I know, but he
Yeah,
said it,
yeah,
not
yeah.
me.
Yeah, let's say don't say something you can't deliver on, you know?
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yep.
Let's see. But anyway,
Hopefully, it wasn't just politician talk.
I don't think so.
We're all
But
praying for that. It's like, hey, I remember you said that. It's recorded.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
someone pushing to get removed of frack. I'm like, what's with that? But anyway, we'll see what happens. Uh, I always say that the ship continues to move forward. Sometimes it gets pushed to the left and sometimes it gets pushed to the right, but we keep on moving forward. So
That's the idea.
yeah.
So, Mark, since we're waiting for everyone, let me just give you a little bit of who the club is. I'm sure I mentioned it to you on the email. So the club is pretty much an affiliation, individual brokers, where we just came together as pretty much under the umbrella of the club. And what it is that we just give each other support, share trainings with the different with the agents from each of the groups. But like I said, they're all individuals, so it's not like one company owns the other, and each one has their own agents, their own finances, their own everything. It's not franchises, it's anything. It's just brokers, boutique firms in South Florida that have come together to just one common, I guess, vision of sharing and helping each other out.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My background is spent 19 years working at different credit unions, and we had something called the Curin, the Credit Union Real Estate Network. And
Oh,
so credit unions, whether they're large or small, and we started this in the Orlando area back in the 90s, where everybody that was in Orlando, the mortgage managers, we all met to talk about what was going on. The goal was for credit unions to do mortgages or more mortgages. And so we had the same open atmosphere. We would go in and we would bring in a guest speaker in, and then we would talk about the problems that we're dealing with. Let's just say it's AVMs, like, hey, who are you using for AVMs? Or, and we would bring an appraiser in to talk about what's going with appraisals. So we used to do that every month and shared the information. And even though we were all quote unquote competing against each other, we just knew that the shared knowledge was going to help the credit union group as a whole. And they've been around
Yeah.
now for over 30 years. They meet national too. So that's awesome.
Wow.
You guys are all doing that.
Yeah.
I tip my hats to all of you.
Well, thank you, definitely. Christina and Carmen. Carmen is my broker. They are the founders of the club. And honestly, it's only to the benefit of each one of us as agents, because yeah, at the end of the day, we can all turn around and if for some reason my broker's not around, I can call Christina, or I can call any other broker from the club. It's right now it's about, I believe it's 8 different brokers that have joined. And altogether, we have about 500 agents when you count them all
Wow.
in. Mhm. So that's
Wow.
what I was saying. So this information, although not, just a slither percentage of what our club really is, it's all being recorded. So it's going to be on our YouTube. So the rest of our club is able to, take knowledge and notes from this presentation. So thank you for being with us.
No problem. And watch what I say since we're recorded.
This call's being recorded.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well, so we're just gonna give them at least 3 more minutes so we can get started. Hopefully everybody joins sooner.
Not a problem. Who came across my name? I guess is the question.
I want to give credit to Carmen. So it was your name was part of, I guess, a presentation that was given locally for first-time homeowners. And she
Okay.
shared the presentation with me, and we're like, okay, so we got to call the boss here.
Okay.
we gotta call who's gonna make this happen for us. So we're doing something similar. We're gonna have a workshop for first-time homeowners
That's
on
great.
May 3rd. So that's why we were inviting you and anyone that is bringing so much value to the community. So
Right. So Carmen, did you attend one of my CE classes, I'm assuming?
Maybe.
Okay. You guys take so many classes. I don't know.
I don't
That's
remember.
no, it's okay.
I'm sorry. It's so
That you're
many-
fine. You're
I-
fine.
I'm sure I did. There's been so many years, but for my memory, don't trust that.
I trust me, you would know if you were stuck on a call with me for 3 hours.
After today, we can say yes, we have.
Yeah.
Let's say yes. Let's say
Yeah.
yes.
Well, back in the 90s, I used to teach a homebuyer workshop class in Orlando on the third Saturday of every month. I did that for
None of
7
that. That's for
years.
sure I didn't
Wow.
do it.
Yeah, and it was a 4-hour class. And a funny story is my wife was a teacher, and we got married in 91, and she would come home from work after teaching all day, and she'd walk in the front door, and she was quiet, like I couldn't get her to talk. And I thought maybe she was mad at me or whatever. I just didn't know what it was. And then I started teaching these classes on a Saturday. And, after 4 hours of talking, I came home and she started peppering me. Well, how'd the class go? And started asking me all these questions. I'm like, can we just take a break for a minute? And she goes, well, do you get it now? Do you get it now? When you're talking for 8 hours as a teacher all day and you come home, the last thing you want to do is talk. So it was a quick lesson learned that, when you have to do these presentations all day, even when I do the 3-hour CE class, I'm exhausted. I
I
want to
hear
go.
you. And my husband said that I don't talk, but I'm all day on the phone on a Zoom. When I get home, I don't want to be chatting. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I know. I can relate to that story perfectly. Perfectly.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
It gets to the point that I don't even answer personal calls anymore. I just send texts. I just send a text message.
oh yeah.
I'm like, I want to talk.
Yeah,
want to talk.
Why are you calling me?
right. I downloaded that new AI phone thing where it answers the phone calls for you. I haven't signed up for it yet because it gives you like a 7-day trial. I'm scared of it. Let the computer answer my phone and start scheduling stuff. So it's
Oh,
going to be
no.
it's going to be interesting going forward.
Not sure about that. I
Yeah, well,
prefer,
they had something online about was it Facebook or two AI bots were talking to each other, and they said, "Hey, since they recognize that they're both AI, do they want to go over to the computer language?" And all of a sudden, they just did beeps and whistles to communicate to each other. I'm like, that'll be scary.
yeah.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, but we'll
This is I'm telling you, it's like the Will Smith movie, I Robot.
yeah. Well, back in the 90s, the credit unions in Orlando did used to do an annual homebuyers fair, and we had a radio commercial where you hear a car pull up to basically a drive-through window, go, "Yeah, I'd like to order a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a pool, and whatever it may be." And they go, "Go ahead, pull up to the next window. It's 150,000." And the commercial was, "Would it be nice if you could buy a house as quickly as someone can get a car, get your financing within an hour and come learn about the whole process of buying a home." And, we did the home buyers fairs. They used to do that, an annual thing. But anyway, I just see it now where you're going to go, Echo, I'd like to apply for a mortgage, and
Mm.
okay,
Well, I
what's your,
actually heard a commercial. I heard a commercial about that actually.
oh, we lost her.
We
But
lost her.
yeah,
But anyway, it's 10:07. I think we should start. There might be more people connecting.
that,
But this, we record this class, and because we are all used to the 10 a.m. on Wednesday, but sometimes, we're with clients and we cannot make it, they will come back and see it. So
sure. So
let's,
when will we,
So I think we
when,
should get started.
sure, when did you start recording now, or you already started?
get ready,
It's
start.
recording.
Okay, no problem. All right.
All right, let's get started.
Edit.
Mark, thank you so much.
We will edit this.
Thanks.
Don't worry.
We'll edit the whole intro.
The whole
Okay.
husband and wife thing.
Yeah, I'll get picked on for that one. Thank you.
All right.
So, Mark, can you guys hear me? Because my internet is a little shaky right now.
I
It's
can.
fine. You're fine.
Yes, okay, perfect. Mark, thank you so
Uh-oh,
Okay.
it's
There you go.
gone.
All right. Well, I'll
She,
just go ahead and start. She was
yeah,
saying thank you for coming, and we'll just
he
introduce
just
myself.
wanted to give you, thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time and your knowledge and everything that you're gonna share with us today. Just please introduce yourself. We're the club here. We're a group of agents of different offices that gather every Wednesday morning to learn. And this month we are we dedicated to first-time home buyers. That's why we have you as a guest today. And please go ahead.
Great. Well, again, thank you for the invite. Let me go ahead and share the screen, get that tossed up here really quickly here. So basically, bridging the homeownership gap with the down payment assistance is kind of what we're looking at. My background, just so you know who this goofy guy talking to you today. I was a real estate appraiser in the Orlando area for 11 years back in the 90s. For 7 of those years, I was a real estate broker, so I've been on your side of the transaction. For 19 years, I was assistant vice president of home loans at different credit unions, including the Walt Disney World Credit Union. So out of the 365 degrees of real estate, I've done 340. I've been in the business long enough that I used to have to do flood determinations with a map and a ruler. Um, Doc stamps were actual physical stamps you bought at the clerk of the court's office, and you licked on the place on the back of the note, and the doc stamps are often awful. So been around for a long time, and so I try to do presentations as if I was a real estate agent today. So, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to down payment assistance in the state of Florida, you got to realize that down payment assistance is really a tool. It's a tool for your toolbox to help solve a problem set. The down payment assistance loans are one of those tools. And the tool being to do what? To help your buyer get into a home, therefore resulting in a real estate commission for you, which is your goal. I did put this entire slide presentation in the chat area. If you want to download that, that's perfectly fine. And then I did send it to Jennifer. We can send it out later after the class is over as well. I just sit back and relax as my statement. This is being recorded. Feel free to share this with your staff and so forth. But the whole idea is to give you an idea, if you're a real estate agent, what should you be doing today? Well, in the state of Florida, there are 3 levels of down payment assistance. There are state programs, there are county programs, and then there are city programs. So Florida Housing Finance Corporation, that is who I work for. We are your state housing finance agency. We have down payment assistance funds that are available in any city or any county in the state of Florida. The county programs, well, those down payment assistance programs are restricted to the geographic county limits, and then the city programs are restricted to the city limits. There are what I call multi-county programs you're going to find in certain areas in the state of Florida. Some of the smaller counties are reaching out to the other counties because either A, they don't have the staff, or the county's just not big enough, and so the other county helps them out. I call those multi-county programs. For you guys to help you out, this link right here that says hud.gov/states.florida, this is really going to be your homework because that link will show you all 67 counties. You can then select the county that you serve, and then that link will show you what down payment assistance is available in those cities and the counties. So your homework is going to be to reach out to those cities and counties to find out what programs they have available. We all operate independently, which means here at Florida Housing, I don't know anything about the city programs or the county programs. So you got to reach out to them to get that information. You guys have heard of SHIP funds. Here's a link here for the SHIP directory for those programs as well. You can reach out to them. Always try to come up with information to help you guys out as real estate agents. Again, having been a broker back in the 90s, if you're not already doing this, in September or October of every year, the National Association of Realtors comes out with something called the Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers. It's $19.95. There's some great information on there that I'd be paying for every year. Cost me like $300. So unless someone is nice enough to send it to me, I don't get to see it. But anyway, the average age of a home buyer from the last survey was 38 years of age. So what I did was I took the births underlying each generation, and you can see where the red arrow is. Look at the blue arrow going forward. The number of buyers that are going to be reaching that 38 years of age is going to be greater than it is today. So we've all heard of supply and demand, right? Well, demand, showing you right here, the number of buyers who are going to be reaching the age to purchase a home is going to be great over the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. It is a good time to be a real estate agent. Now, what affects supply? We already know about that. And also what affects demand, interest rates, and other things that happen along the way. But again, this is a good time with millennial and post-millennial. Now, silly enough as it is, it was just released that the baby boomer generation was the largest purchaser of homes in 2024, mainly because the millennials and post-millennials have stepped back or almost paused, and you guys have kind of seen that, and that comes with these next slides here. So the down payment is the biggest barrier to home ownership among millennials. They're having a tough time raising up the money, but the problem that's out there right now, 55% of these buyers say they don't have enough money for down payment closing costs. And the main reason, ladies and gentlemen, is these buyers, 44% of millennials think the buyer needs 20% to put down to purchase a home because that is what is being shown out there. Like if you go to Zillow and you say, hey, I like this house, and ask for, do you want to look at the financing? Their example is the borrower putting 20% down for the mortgage payment. So this is where you, as a real estate agent, need to help dispel this myth, whether it's through your social media advertising or interaction with buyers and so forth, to help them go, hey, you know what? There are down payment assistance programs out there. So you have here 54% of millennials who are renters, they want to buy a home and they anticipate buying a home in the next 2 years, but they're having a tough time saving for down payment. 56% are currently saving for down payment assistance. And I want you to pay attention to this graph here. The expected time they need to save for down payment, full 20% say they will never have enough money to purchase a home. Okay, 20% of these people. And the remaining, you see here, 1/3 or 30% says it can take them at least 5 or 10 years because they think they need 20% down to purchase a home. So when it comes to down payment assistance with the city and the county and the state, we all follow the IRS definition of a first-time home buyer, and it's probably different than what you think. Well, first and foremost, it's an easy statement they have here. It says the buyer does not own the home they currently live in, because if they own the home they currently live in, that's their primary residence. They're not considered first-time home buyers. How about this one? You have a buyer that owns a mobile home, but that mobile home is on rented lot or land. The IRS deems them as a first-time home buyer because they don't own the land. So a mobile home, like in a mobile home park, or maybe they have a mobile home and it's on the property that their parents own. So as long as they don't own the land, the IRS says, hey, they are a first-time home buyer and they're eligible for down payment assistance. This is the one that's a little bit different than people don't realize. Did you know that your buyer can currently own a home and get money to buy a down payment assistance money to purchase a home, and the IRS considers them a first-time home buyer? And the reason, the explanation here is going to be, as I grab this pen here, is they can own a home as long as they've never lived in that home as their primary residence in the past 3 years. So let's just say you have a husband and wife. The husband's parents pass away in North Carolina. They have a cabin in North Carolina. Can that husband and his family go up to North Carolina, spend a week or two in that cabin? Absolutely, as long as they never lived in that cabin as their primary residence at any time in the past 3 years, the IRS considers them a first-time home buyer. All right. Mark, I have a buyer that has 3 investment properties, but they've never lived in those investment properties as their primary residence at any time in the past 3 years. Are they considered a first-time home buyer? And the answer is no, because at the time of closing, the buyer cannot own more than 2 properties, the one that they currently own and the one that they're looking to purchase as their primary residence, and they must occupy that property as their primary residence within 60 days. And so let me go ahead and go back to here, which that statement I just made. And then they must be able to permanently reside in the U.S. So I know a lot of things are going on with the residency of the borrower. And right now we follow FHA, VA, USDA, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac guidelines. I know there's some discussion in the state legislature right now about residency. So you might want to pay attention to what's going on there. But again, that has nothing to do with us. We just follow the requirements from FHA, VA, USDA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. If the borrower is eligible to get a mortgage with them, they're eligible with these programs. There is a exception for veterans. If you have a veteran, they can currently own a home. They could have a home with a VA mortgage on it. They are automatically allowed to get down payment assistance to purchase another home. They must occupy the home that they're going to purchase with this down payment assistance within 60 days. And at the time of closing, they cannot own more than 2 properties. Now, some of you have heard of a program we call Hometown Heroes, and we have added active military and a spouse of a deceased veteran also receiving that exemption only underneath our Hometown Heroes program. But normally, with like right now, there are no Hometown Hero funds. A veteran is the only one that gets that exception. All right. We do have a list of our approved loan officers. So whether your buyer, if your buyer needs down payment assistance, your main assignment as a real estate agent is to get them to a loan officer who is approved for the programs. Now, this home buyer wizard that we have here, this is a list of loan officers who are approved in our program. It's on our website. I'll show you later where that's at. But these are loan officers who have had 4 or more loans closed in the last 6 months. We update the website twice a year. Now, these are loan officers who are approved with Florida Housing, the state housing finance agency. You're going to want to take that list and compare it to the county list and compare it to the city list, because ideally you want to find 3 loan officers who have access to all 3 programs. This way, your loan officer, when they get referred one of your borrowers for an application, they're going to look at all 3 programs and determine which program is best for your buyer. And sometimes the city program is the best. Sometimes the county program is the best. Sometimes the state program is the best. Sometimes the city and the county programs are out of funds, and the only program available is the state program. So this is the wizard. I'll show you where that is at later. But really, your first step as a real estate agent is to determine, do they meet the IRS definition of a first-time home buyer? Then really get these loan officers, get these buyer over to these approved loan officers. Again, your homework is to identify loan officers who are in all 3 programs. All right. I want to tell you one of the major myths about affordable housing, that affordable housing programs are only for people with bad credit. For 19 years, I served working at the credit unions, and my boss, whenever I was hired, would say, "Mark, we need to have a monthly report of the number of loans that you closed last month and the dollar amount." And I said, "Well, you want to know more than that. For example, if I just put $16 million of loans on the books, wouldn't you want to know that the average credit score of all those loans was 450, being the worst credit score that you could have? That being that I put $16 million in the books, and they were people with bad credit." So when I started in July of 19, my boss said in January 2020, "Mark, you talked to me, you did annual reports and so forth. I want you to take over the annual report." So in January of 2020, I went ahead and looked at the average credit score that was for all the loans in 2019. So the question I have for you guys, is Florida Housing helped 11,072 families purchase a home in 2024. And I want you to give a couple seconds here to ask yourself what you think the average credit score was for 11,000 families, 11,000 loans that closed in 2024. Now, if you want to drop it in the chat area, that's perfectly fine. But the statement here is I want to share something with you because I know what happens as a real estate agent. I know what happens as a loan officer. You get somebody on the phone that says, "Hey, Mark, I'm looking to purchase a home. I saw you're listed at 123 Main Street. Can I see the house on Sunday?" And you're like, "Sure, I'd love to show you the house on Sunday." And the first thing you ask them, say, "Well, right now in today's marketplace, the seller's not really willing to accept a contract for purchase for a buyer unless you've been pre-qualified. And have you been pre-qualified?" And of course, you get that answer. And if they say no, and then you say, "Well, also what is happening in today's marketplace, only about 30% of the sellers are willing to help a buyer out with down payment or closing costs, mainly closing costs. So I'm not trying to get personal, but I just want to make sure how I can help you out the best. Can you let me know how much money you have saved up for down payment and closing costs?" And they may go, "Oh, I got $1,000 or $1,500." And the response of the loan officer, the response of the real estate agents who doesn't know about these programs is, "Oh my God, I don't have time for this. Hey, where's that new real estate agent that just started? I need to get buyers that are more solid buyers." And if you're doing this, I want you to pay attention to this number right here. Ladies and gentlemen, the average credit score for the 11,000 families that purchased a home in last year was 713. 713. It was 712 in 23. It was 713 in 22. 21, it was 709. 2020, the lowest it was 703 for 2019. And the reason I'm pointing out the score to you guys, and I pointed out in my classes, and I point out to the loan officers, is because these people who are looking to purchase a home, they are paying their rent, they're paying their credit cards, they're paying their down payment, or excuse me, their car loans, they're paying their student loans, they're paying all this. They just don't have the money for down payment. We already saw the slide that says some of these buyers says it's going to take them up to 5 years, or some of them say never because they just can't save the money. And that is where you can help break the myth with these home buyers. Say, look, there are down payment assistance programs, city, county, and the state. Let me get you over to one of these loan officers who has access to these programs to help you get into the home. And so that's where these programs, if have not been paying attention to these type of programs, you're missing out on an opportunity to earn a more real estate commission, because all you have to do is get these loan officers, excuse me, these buyers to an approved loan officer. Okay. So how are the income limits are determined? Just to let you know, when I started Florida Housing, I had as much knowledge as you do right now. Income limits are based on the county where the home is purchased, the loan program chosen. So here at Florida Housing, the borrower must get the first mortgage with Florida Housing in order to have access to one of our 4 down payment assistance loans. Our first mortgages are either a bond loan or non-bond loan, we call TBA. And then these type of programs look at household size. So you probably know this, a USDA loan, the loan officer looks at the household size. And so the income limits for a 1 to 4 family is lower than income limits for 5 plus a family. And it works the same way with the city and the county and the state programs. All right. So when we look at our program, where the loan officer looks at our program, we are looking at a set of stairs. And the bond program has the lowest income limits. You can see it ranges from 88.6 to 171,792. We do use 115% of the area median income, and we look at the number of people in the household. In our program, it's 1 to 2 in a family has a lower income limit than 3 plus. The difference between bond and a non-bond program is also how the income is looked at. So on a bond program, the loan officer looks at all household income. That's the income of everybody who's 18 years of older who's going to live in that house, the same as they do on a USDA loan. Our non-bond program has higher income limits. So the loan officer again is going to look at your borrower's application and go, oh no, the buyer makes too much money for the bond program. What do I do now? I'm going to switch over to the non-bond program, the TBA program, and you can see the income limits are even higher. The first step up is called our Florida Assist down payment assistance. That is $10,000. We go up to 120% of the area median income. We also look at the number of people in households. So 1 to 2 has a lower income limit than 3 plus. All right. And the loan officer goes, oh no, the borrower makes too much money. What do I do now? They're going to look at the next 2 down payment assistance programs we have available. That's the Florida Help and the Florida Plus. And then the final one is Hometown Heroes that you guys have heard about. And we go up to 150% of the area median income on Hometown Heroes. USDA loans are a little bit less than our 150%. Now, Hometown Heroes, if you did not know this, the down payment assistance provided is 5% of the total mortgage amount, not to exceed $35,000, but a minimum of $10,000. Borrower will receive a minimum of $10,000. All the way at the bottom, it says income considered. Remember, on a bond loan, the loan officer has to look at the income of every borrower over the age of 18 who's going to live in that house. So you might get a phone call from a buyer that says, hey, Mark, I got a question for you. My wife and I applied on the application, and my mother-in-law is going to move in the house with us. And the loan officer is asking for my mother-in-law's Social Security income, but I don't understand. She's not on the application. So anytime a borrower asks that of you, you can automatically know their buyer is either getting a USDA loan or they're getting a bond loan in these type of programs. So on the non-bond, the TBA, we only look at the income that is shown on the application. If you didn't know this, the application form is called the 1003 form, all right? And so, for example, let's just say you have a borrower that's working full-time and they cut the grass on the weekends. The loan officer can look at just the full-time income, score the loan with BU, being Fannie Mae or LP, Freddie Mac, and if they get accept eligible, they're going to be good to go as long as their income is less than the income limit for the county. An example I'll give you on the flexibility on the TBA side is if you have a husband and wife and they make $130,000 and a penny, but the income limit for that county is $130,000. And yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's a bond or a non-bond TBA loan, if the income is less, excuse me, if the income is greater than the income limit, that loan does not qualify for down payment assistance. However, the loan officer has the flexibility to remove a borrower off the application. Let's just say the husband makes 30,000 and a penny and the wife makes 100,000. The husband's off the loan, so we don't count his income. His wife is on the loan. She makes 100,000. The income limit for that county is 130,000. Now this application is good for down payment assistance. So that loan would be good for receiving down payment assistance. Kind of works the same way when you have a husband or a wife, for example, and you turn your buyer over to the loan officer, and the loan officer says, hey, Mark, we got a problem. The husband's credit score is 540. The wife's credit score is 720. I have to remove the husband off the application because we'll never get an accept eligible with DU or LP. And so anytime a loan officer removes a borrower off the application, that borrower's income cannot be counted at all. And so it kind of reduces the buying power of that application. But anyway, that flexibility to remove a borrower off the application means more borrowers qualify underneath our TBA or non-bond program than on a bond loan. All right. And again, if you stare at those income limits, they are probably higher. A lot of city and county programs only go up to 80% of the area median income, where we go up to 115, 120, 140, and even 150. All right. So as I mentioned, you're going to help, your homework will be to identify loan officers who are approved on all 3 levels. When you get that buyer that applies for a mortgage with the loan officer is going to look at your buyer's application and decide whether they qualify for a bond or a TBA product. the difference, what the mortgage loan officer is going to do is really not that much different at all. When the loan officer gets a borrower's application, they look at your borrower's income and their debt, and they calculate the maximum mortgage payment your borrower can qualify for. Then whatever the interest rates are at the moment, that determines what the maximum mortgage amount may be. And then the loan officer is going to look at your borrower's assets, what they have in the savings account, checking account, and so forth, determine the amount of funds are needed. You know, USDA and VA is 100% financing, FHA is 96.5% financing, and in our products, the conventional Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac is 97% financing. So depending on the loan type, the loan officer would determine how much is needed for down payment and closing costs. Then they look at the different city, county, and the state programs to determine which program is best for your buyer. I'm going to go ahead and prop up this entire slide here. So again, we go over this deeper into our, I teach a 3-hour CE class for real estate agents. I'll tell you later what it's about. But ladies and gentlemen, at the time of pre-qualification, whether your buyer gets down payment assistance or not, I'm preaching to you having been a mortgage manager for 19 years and haven't been a real estate broker for 7 years. Here at Florida House and the state program, there is no file review of your borrower's application. We don't see that application until after it closes. The lender, we have 197 approved lenders. We have 2,600 loan officers who have done one or more loan in the last year. You're going to be getting the list of those loan officers with the slide deck given to you today. And so you need to make sure at the time of pre-qualification, especially if your borrower is getting access to the city and county programs, that that loan officer has reached out to the city and county. Because I told you that our program, there's no file review. So when you're talking to a loan officer who's going through Florida Housing, if a loan officer ever says, "Oh, we're waiting on Florida Housing to review the file," that's not true. We don't review the file. Okay. But some cities and some counties review the file. And ladies and gentlemen, there are city and counties that are out there right now that are taking 50 days to review a file. 50 days. So when should you know what the turnaround time is for the city and county? Anybody know? It's at the time of pre-qualification. When that loan officer gives you that pre-qualification letter, you need to ask that loan officer, did you contact the city or county to find out what their turnaround time is on their program? Because what am I going to do? I'm going to take this buyer out to go find a property. You've given me the pre-qual letter. And I don't want to go out there and write a contract that's going to close in 30 days if the city and county takes 50 days to review. Because what's going to happen? In 30 days, what's going to happen? Your seller thinks they're going to close. The selling agent thinks they're going to close. Your buyer's agent or your buyers thinks you're going to close, and you're the buyer's agent. Everybody thinks it's going to close, but no one took the time at pre-qualification to find out what the turnaround time is for that program. All right. And then what's going to happen? You have to go ahead and go after addendums, right? Oh, I got to extend this another 30 days or 45 days. What if that seller says, you know what? I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's 30 days. This thing hasn't gone anywhere. I want to back out. I want to find another buyer for my house. And you don't want to do that. So again, I'm preaching to you, having been on your side of the equation, okay, that what you want to do at the time of pre-qualification, and this is with all your loans, ladies and gentlemen, all your loans. Florida Housing does not review the file. So if the buyer is getting an FHA mortgage with one of these approved lenders and it's Hometown Heroes, right? For example, you want to know at pre-qualification, hey, I know that you're going through the Hometown Heroes, and I know the fact that Hometown Heroes, if Florida Housing doesn't review the file, what's your company's turnaround time on FHA mortgages? Okay, that's what you want to know at pre-qualification. In addition, when it comes to the city and the county programs, how much money do they have left in their program? Because you don't want to take a buyer shopping for a house, like say for a county program, when there's no money left. So just a quick tip on that, on what you need to do at time of pre-qualification. This is just a quick chart to lay out all of our programs. We have Bond, we have TBA, we have TBA Plus, and we have Hometown Heroes. And again, at the bottom here, you can see the down payment assistance that available, one second, available here with each individual program. All right. And we'll come back into more on that a little bit later. I just want to give you a chart so you guys have a little layout of what that looks like. All right. So down payment assistance, ladies and gentlemen, there's 4 different types of down payment assistance that you're going to come across. One is going to be a grant. Grant is where the money is given at closing. The money does not have to be paid back. All right. Only 9.4% of all down payment assistance loans were grants. The next 3 are the 3 you're going to encounter. One is forgiveness. That is where a borrower is given money to close in. It's forgiven over a period of time. Then we have deferred. Deferreds are gaining more and more popularity. Deferred is where the borrower is given the money at closing, and there is a mortgage recorded against the property. Okay. Here we have, it could be 10, 15, 20, or 30 years. All the deferred loans here at Florida Housing are 30-year deferred. So what that means, again, is the borrower is given the money at closing. We record whatever, let's say it's $15,000. A $15,000 lien is recorded against the property for 30 years. There is an action part of this deferred, and there's a maturity. The action is the borrower closes, they're in their house, they're in the next 30 years. If they sell, refinance, transfer the deed, or turn the property into rental property, the down payment assistance is due back immediately. The maturity is if they don't sell, don't refinance, don't transfer the deed, don't turn the property into the rental property, then the end of 30 years, it becomes a balloon payment. Now, what else happens at the end of 30 years? The first mortgage is paid off. So 29 years and 10 months from now, that borrower can go ahead and apply for a home equity loan, get the home equity loan ready to go. So when the first mortgage is paid off at the end of 30 years, they can then go ahead and pay off the down payment assistance. The interest rate on our deferred is 0%. So even if the borrower got $15,000 today and 30 years from now they had to pay it off, the payoff is $15,000. They will never pay a penny of interest in these programs. All right. And even though no payments are required during that 30 years, if they want to make payments, they can. But please note, it is a 0% interest rate loan. Advise your buyers, look, you can make a payment anytime, but the interest rate is 0%. Make sure you pay off your 20% credit card or your 5% car loan before you start making payments on a 0% interest rate loan. All right. And the final one is a loan. That is where the borrower is given the money at closing. There's an actual interest rate, an actual term, and a monthly payment. And that's the 4 different types of down payment assistance that your buyers are going to see as you go out and about and look at these programs. So here at Florida Housing, the borrower it can only choose one of the 4 that we have available. The loan officer can look at layering the local city or county programs on top of our down payment assistance. And I'll repeat what I said earlier for anybody who stepped in late. Here at Florida Housing, the borrower must get the first mortgage with Florida Housing in order to have access to one of our 4 down payment assistance. That would be in second lien position. And then if the buyer qualifies for down payment assistance with the city or county, that could be in third lien position, giving your buyer even additional funds to purchase a home. On all of our down payment assistance loans, title insurance is not allowed. Yes, your borrower is going to get a copy of an owner's policy. The lender is going to want to have their lender's title insurance. There just can be no fees charged on the down payment assistance loan. All right. Always make sure your loan officer is communicating any repayment terms of down payment assistance and any program in which the down payment assistance has to be paid back. We call that an evergreen program. You probably didn't know this, but Hometown Heroes is an evergreen program. Eventually, the Hometown Heroes loans will be paid off, and that money will be paid available for future buyers. All right. So one of the 4 down payment assistance loans we have available, I'd mentioned briefly before about the Florida Assist. The borrower again is given $10,000 at closing. It is recorded as a second mortgage with that maturity of 30 years. Again, this is a deferred down payment assistance. The interest rate is 0. There's no monthly payments. But if they do sell, refinance, transfer the deed, or turn the property into a rental property, then it has to be paid back. It's always repaid, not a grant. It's not forgiven. The next down payment assistance loan is our Florida Help. The borrower is also given $10,000. However, it is a fixed rate of 3% amortized over 15 years. The payment is $69.06 a month. Again, is recorded as a mortgage against the property. Let's say 7 years from now, the seller needs to sell. We just look at the outstanding balance on this loan. That is what's due back at that particular time. All right. So that is a loan type of down payment assistance. The next one is going to be our Florida Plus. The Florida Plus, the borrower is given the money to close in. It is forgiven over a 5-year period of time. All right. And so they can get 3, 4, or 5% of the mortgage amount. I will tell you that 99% of our plus programs are the 3%. So the borrower gets 3% of the mortgage amount in down payment assistance funds. If they get 4%, the first mortgage rate is higher. If they get 5%, the first mortgage rate is even higher than the 4 and higher than 3. So 99% of the time, the Florida pluses are 3% of the mortgage amount. So the borrower is given the money at closing. It is forgiven over 5 years period of time or 20% a year. The example I'm giving you is the buyer got $10,000 at closing. 3.5 years they need to sell. So we take 3 years times 20% a year. 60% of that is forgiven. So $6,000 is forgiven. The unforgiven amount would be $4,000. And so that would have to be paid back into the program. All right. And let me go ahead and erase this out. And as I mentioned, way ago, I've used Zoom, but not very proficient. Anyway, so Hometown Heroes is also a deferred down payment assistance. Remember, that's where the borrower gets the money at closing. It is recorded as a second mortgage for 30 years. And so the down payment assistance, again, is 5% of the total mortgage amount. Let me explain really quickly total mortgage amount. So if a buyer gets a VA loan, they get 100% financing, right? But there's a VA funding fee. So it's the 100% financing plus the VA funding fee times the 5%. And again, because there's no down payment, all that money goes to closing costs. The 5% goes to closing costs. So again, deferred, let's say the borrower got $35,000 at closing. They for the next 30 years, if they sell, refinance, transfer the deed, turn the property into rental property, the down payment assistance is due back immediately. If none of that happens, again, at the end of 30 years, it becomes a balloon payment. So the example I'm giving you at any deferred down payment assistance is take the amount of down payment assistance that's given them, take the recorded maturity times 12 months means that if the borrower had $35,000 and you divide by 360, if the borrower pays $97.22 a month, even though payments are not required, but if they did that at the end of 30 years, the $35,000 will be paid back because the borrower is never being charged a penny of interest. And again, I'm repeating myself, but should a buyer be paying $97.22 a month on a 0% interest rate loan if they have a credit card with a 20% rate or a car loan with 5% rate? No, don't pay it on the loan. Pay it on the credit card. Pay it on the car loan. Get that paid off before you start paying off a 0% interest rate loan. All right, so Hometown Heroes, for all of you who are interested in Hometown Heroes, I'm creating this bicycle analogy for two. This goes back to 22 when we first started it. If you remember, way back in 22, there was 104 eligible occupations. They were removed in 23, but I want you to remember this bicycle seat for two. There's 2 seats or 2 ways your borrower can get access to Hometown Heroes. Number one is if they are a veteran, active military, spouse of a deceased veteran, they are automatically eligible for Hometown Heroes. Occupation, we don't care. Retired is okay. They just need to provide a DD-214 or certificate of eligibility and a verification of active duty. And the DD-214 for the VA loan must have a discharge status, anything other than dishonorable. So if your buyer is not a veteran, not active military, not a spouse of a deceased veteran, then they must follow these guidelines. And that is one, they must work for an employer that is a Florida-based company, meaning the employer must have a brick and mortar location in Florida. Apple is not based in Florida, or the headquarters is not here in Florida. However, there are Apple retail stores. Does your borrower get up in the morning and go to a brick and mortar location in Florida? If the answer is yes, they would qualify. So even though Apple's not in the state of Florida, they do have retail shops in the state of Florida. So your buyer goes into the Apple store and goes to work. They're eligible. Mark, I have a buyer that's an Uber driver. The Uber driver does not go into a brick and mortar location. They would not be eligible. Mark, I have a buyer that's working remotely and the company's headquarters is Virginia. So they don't go to any brick or mortar office or location. They would not be eligible. Mark, I have a buyer that works remotely in Tampa and the company's headquarters is in Jacksonville. Well, because the company's headquarters is in Florida, they would be eligible. Now, please note this next statement here. All right. The next statement is the buyer must work full time. Retired is not eligible as they are not working full time. But remember, under the Veteran Active Military Spouse of a deceased veteran, retired is okay. They're eligible because they are veteran active military or a widow of deceased veteran. But if they're not any of those three, again, retired is not eligible. Self-employed buyers will need to have their company registered. But basically, instead of reading all this, my statement to you is very simple. You have a self-employed buyer who wants to go through Hometown Heroes. They need to reach a loan officer immediately. They need to get the documents together they need to have them reviewed. So self-employed buyers should immediately get referred over to the loan officer, make sure everything has been reviewed before they go any further. All right. Now, I will add something to you on a self-employed because all of our programs require verification of employment. The self-employed must have a verification that they work full-time. That must be from a third party, like an accountant. Okay. And so there's issues with self-employed buyers. I'm just giving you the warning. You have one. Make sure the loan officer gets everything cleared up. So on the verification of employment, this is required of all the buyers. So another tip I'm going to give you, a verification of employment or a VOE form should be sent when? At the time of application. What you need to do is tell the loan officer, hey, this is Hometown Heroes. I know you need to get that VOE form. I've already asked my buyer, hey buyer, we need to be sending a VOE form to your HR department. Please contact your HR department, find out who in HR fills out your verification of employment form. Is there a fax number? Is there an email address? Where does it need to go? We need to know that immediately because, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want this to happen to you. It's 2 weeks before closing. You know where every single dollar of your real estate commission is going to go. And the loan officer calls you and says, hey, we got a problem. We sent in the verification of employment form to an employer and it came back and the borrower works part-time. They don't work full-time. They're not eligible for Hometown Heroes. Therefore, they don't have the money. Therefore, this loan's not going to close. So beat up your loan officers. You should be talking to your loan officer once a month, once a week if you're not doing so already. Again, that's 19 years as a mortgage manager, 7 years of real estate broker. If you're not having a weekly contact with your loan officers of your files, you should be. Hey, loan officer, do you have all the documents from my buyer? Oh, no, I'm missing the 2023 tax returns. Have you called them? Yes, I did. Have you sent them an email? Yes, I did. Well, I'm going to get on the phone and call them. Well, Mark, it sounds like you're asking me to do the loan officer's job. No, ladies and gentlemen, you and your loan officers are partners. If that loan doesn't close, neither of you get commission. And if you need to beat up your buyers to get those documents in, you should get them in. Did you know that at the time of pre-qual, your loan officer gives your buyers a list of all the documents they need? And if there's something missing, you want to make sure it's turned in because what you don't want to happen, again, is 2 weeks before closing, the buyer turn in a document that they never turned in to begin with. And all of a sudden, the loan officer gave you a pre-qual letter for $250. You wrote a contract for $245. The buyer said they made $60,000, but their tax returns show they only made $55,000. And the loan officer says, hey, I gave you a pre-qual letter for $250. The buyer only makes 55, not 60,000. The pre-qual letter, we need to change it to 240. And unless the seller comes down $5,000, your deal's done. This thing's done. I don't want that to happen to you. Stay on top of your loan officer, stay on top of your buyer once a week that they have everything they need. Okay. It's not going to save every deal. It's going to help out. And I'm going to give you one final tip, ladies and gentlemen. If a deal goes bad, instead of going to the next marketing meeting at the local board of realtors and bad mouthing that loan officer, sit down with your loan officer on every deal that goes wrong. Maybe A was done, but if B was done, that deal would have been saved. So you lost out this deal, but don't you want to know for the future why that loan went bad, how you can instruct your buyers on what needs to happen? Maybe you catch the problem early before you sit there for a home inspection, appraisal, and so forth. Thomas Edison said what? He spent 1,000 light bulbs to get it right. Took him 1,000 times to get it right. Ladies and gentlemen, when a bad deal goes bad, again, sit down with a loan officer. Yes, it's uncomfortable. find out what had happened went wrong. Maybe it wasn't the loan officer, maybe it was the processor, the underwriter, the closer, post-closer. You want to learn for deals that go wrong. Again, having been on both sides, that would be a tip I would give you. All right. Here's some Hometown Heroes changes of eligibility. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is what happened. 21 or 22, we had occupations. They were removed in 22. We increased the DPA amount maximum and lower or gave a minimum. And then in 24, we did have a requirement the bar must work 35 hours a week. The HR departments in the state of Florida were not used to indicating the number of hours, so that was removed. I'm not aware of any changes for 25, just to let you know. Here's some statistics. 21,748 families used Hometown Heroes over the last 3 years. Over $6.6 billion in first mortgages. The total sale of all properties was $6.9 billion. If I use, I know real estate commission is a sensitive topic, but if I used an average 6% real estate commission, $415 million in real estate commissions have been earned from Hometown Heroes. Look at those average credit scores, ladies and gentlemen, 718, 15, 14, and 715. And so everybody has benefited from Hometown Heroes, right? Whether it's a real estate agent or a loan officer, a title company appraiser, and so forth. Right now, the House legislature plans on giving a 50 million, which is lower than 100 million. The Senate wants 150 million. Governor DeSantis has wants 100 million. What's going to come out? What's the final thing? We don't know as of yet. So remember, if you did not know this, ladies and gentlemen, last year, the last 2 years, we received $100 million in funds. In 23, it was gone in 53 days. In 24, it was gone in 51 days. More people know about Hometown Heroes in 25, right? And if we get $100 million again, I guarantee you these funds are going to be gone in less than 51 days. And so, as you can see here, we did have fallout funds available, all right? And we made these available 2 weeks after 2 weeks after all the funds were gone. We had what called fallout fund days. So in a normal loan transaction, a loan gets canceled, maybe a bad appraisal, maybe the income's low, and when the loan gets canceled, we made those funds available every other Monday through September, October, and into November. $3.2 million was available on September 3rd. Okay, that was about 200 loans. Those funds were gone within 25 minutes. So this is what you want to know. Hey, loan officer, I know when the Hometown Heroes funds are gone sometime in August, what do you guys do to put yourself in position to get access to the follow-up funds? So on September 3rd, our rate lock desk opened up. That was on a Monday. On Friday, the loan officers were made aware that 3.2 million was available. What are they doing to get in line to get access to this fund? You can see 3.2 million, 200 loans reserved in 25 minutes. Those funds were going faster than Taylor Swift concert tickets. All right. So again, because of the state legislature is in the position they are in, we're waiting for the approval. Even if Governor DeSantis has signed it today, which is not getting signed today, but even if it was, the state budget does not start till July 1st. So every year, it's not going to change. Every year when the Hometown Hero funds get approved, July 1st will be the first day that the loan officer will be able to sign in to reserve the funds and lock in the first mortgage rate. Property eligible types are there: single family, townhomes, condos, 2 to 4 units. You have on the 2 to 4 unit, the buyer must be occupying one of the units. The buyer must have 3% of their own funds, 5% down is required. We do have available mobile home and land, modular home and land as well. Minimum credit score is 640, maximum debt ratio is 45%. Please note, these must be existing mobile home and land, existing modular home and land. The year built cannot be older than 1994. No single wides, it must be a double wide or bigger. All right. And then we also have construction and loans. I'm not going to spend too much time because we're almost out of time here. Just to let you know that we do have down payment assistance available on construction loans. However, with Hometown Heroes, unless that home is a spec home and that certificate of occupancy is going to be issued within 30 days, I wouldn't touch it. On our other programs with besides Hometown Heroes, the loan officer cannot lock in the interest rate until the certificate of occupancy is issued. The lender has 60 days to have the loan purchased. If it goes beyond 60 days, they can get another 30 days, but there's a quarter point hit to the penalty. So this is where I would have a discussion with the loan officer. Say, hey, I have a buyer that's wants to buy this new home. It's a spec home. I'm writing a contract where it's contingent upon the certificate of occupancy being delivered with 30 days. If it's not delivered within 30 days, the builder has to pay the quarter point extension to give us another 30 days. There were a lot of loan officers out there that reserved Hometown Heroes on construction loans, not realizing that they must have it purchased within 60 days. A lot of the cancellation where these loan officers go, oh, I didn't know that. It's going to be 4 months before the house is built. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to use up the money. We're not waiting around 4 months to find out if the house is being built. So if it's a new home, unless it's a spec home, I'm giving you the warning. I would step aside or have a serious conversation with your loan officer. All right. We do have available, even though this is not being used as much as it should be. We have the FHA 203K limited, where the buyer can get up to $75,000 on non-structural repairs. The borrower must be able to move in the house within 30 days. So when you reach out to these loan officers on the list that they gave you, you want to find out two things. One, do they do FHA 203K to begin with? And number two, do they do mobile home and manufactured housing and land to begin with? Because if they don't, they're not going to be offering this product in our program. Contracts, how many extra days should you add to the contract? I already told you that at the time of pre-qual, you should be finding out if there's a review turnaround time, because if you're with Florida Housing, the turnaround time is not, the file's not reviewed. And so the turnaround time is based on when the lender says their normal turnaround time is on the FHA loan. You shouldn't have to add any extra days for the contract for purchase, all right? Mark, the buyer can get the seller to pay some closing costs. Is that negatively impacted if the seller's paying the buyer's closing costs? The answer is no. You can still get a seller to pay 6% on FHA and USDA, 4% on VA, 3% on Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac towards the buyer's closing costs. Imagine your buyer's getting Hometown Heroes on an FHA mortgage. Well, they're going to get 5% of the total mortgage amount and closing costs and down payment, right? And if the seller's paying 6%, on the closing costs as well, there will be money left over, but please note, any money left over is used to reduce the mortgage amount. No cash back is all given back to the buyer unless they receive it from a gift fund that are documented. When you contact the city and the county programs, some of them require inspection above and beyond a home inspection, so you're going to want to know that. All right. So if, as we get close to the end here, I do teach a 3-hour class. It is a free class for you guys as real estate agents. You do get 3 hours of CE credit. That is the QR code. I'll leave that up for a moment. We do get 4.91 out of 5 stars. Over 4,200 people, real estate agents, have reviewed the class. You can see some comments there. By completing the class, you will submit a waiver form, and you could be listed on our website for free for up to 18 months, when the buyers call Florida Housing and they want to know about Hometown Heroes and our other programs, we push them to our Home Buyer Wizard. There's a button for Find a Lender, and there's a button for Find a Real Estate Agent. Again, the reward for completing the class is that you can be listed there as well. So I'll leave that QR code in a moment. Again, you're going to have this QR code in your slide presentation. And of course, that's the link for the next scheduled classes. There's actually one tomorrow. In addition, come May 20th, 21st, and 22nd, I will be teaching a frequently asked questions or Q&A for Hometown Heroes 2025 as the money is approved. We see if there's any change in the requirements for the borrower. That will be a free class. Again, it's just a 1-hour quick class on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of that week. And I'll go ahead and come back to that in a moment. This is the single family team at Florida Housing. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. You can give me a call at any time, or you can send me an email to mark.pease@floridahousing.org. I will respond back to you. You may get an outer office because I'm teaching a class. It's a 3-hour class. So if you get my out of office, then immediately just go ahead. You'll see my out of office email says, hey, send the question to dp@floridahousing.org. The first team member available will respond back to that question. But let me go back to the previous slide so I can give you that QR code for that Q&A for Hometown Heroes. And Jennifer, Carmen, I guess that's it. if you guys have any questions, comments, or hysterical
No,
observations.
you have a great presentation, a lot of
That was
information.
amazing.
Overwhelmed,
That was
but
amazing. Thank you so much.
yes. I think the good news is that we have it here in the presentation because it's hard to memorize everything.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot of information, and when we teach
exactly.
the CE class, we record the class because it's a lot of information.
It's a lot,
You're
exactly.
not gonna, as I tell every the statement I make is, if you look at my goofy picture, if this goofy guy can figure it out, you can too. Do not be intimidated by these programs, ladies and gentlemen. When you
Exactly.
do the 3-hour CE class, I actually give you a checklist of what to do the next day after class, what your homework it is. Here's the questions to ask the city programs. Here's the question to ask the county. And it's a 3-page checklist, and you can write all your answers down. You'll be shocked at the end of the 3-hour class, like, oh my God. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but you can see the comments that are here. Um, this is the most useful CE class in 15 years. I wish I heard this 20 years ago. I've been this,
Exactly.
first time in 35 years. I wish I knew, this class should be mandatory. And I'm not bragging. And the statement is there's a lot of information,
It
and
is.
by you guys knowing it, it's going to give you a leg up because there are other real estate agents who don't know about this information. I'll make one more point just to let you know. So when Hometown Heroes rolled out in 2025, your Florida Association of Realtor president attended the press conference with Governor DeSantis, and she said there's 225,000 real estate agents in the state of Florida. The next year, the president said 237,000 real estate agents. Well, we taught these classes about Hometown Heroes. Wouldn't you think 225,000 real estate agents would go online to learn about Hometown Heroes? No, we only had about 3,000 each year. Okay. So the number of real estate agents who think they know versus what they know is not enough. And so the whole idea is to give you this information. You're going to find out that learning about down payment assistance is not only going to help you with buyers, but your listing. Imagine you have a listing right now, and you know that the sales price on this house is less than the sales price limit that we have for our program. You could add a rider to the yard sign that says down payment assistance available, or put in the MLS down payment assistance available. I guarantee you what's going to happen is another agent's going to call you, go, hey, I see you're listing at 123 Main Street and it says down payment assistance is available. Well, I have the house on 789 Main Street. How come down payment assistance is not available in my house? Because they don't know about these programs. And so, again, my job is to help preach this out to you guys, but mainly to help you earn more money, put more real estate commission in your pocket. And we try to go through the whole gambit. And again, we are here, or I'm here to answer any questions afterwards.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Super
Thank you,
useful.
Mark. Appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions? It's already 11:03. Just want to wrap it up.
I have a comment, if I may. I think this was a great presentation. And also I encourage everyone to take that additional 3-hour credit course that Mark is offering. I think that that's going to help us for our May 3rd first-time home buyer seminar. And I just like to remind everyone just to make sure that you're asking around, ask your friends, who do they know that is interested in in obtaining these type of government assistance to buy their first home, and write it down on your phone. That way you have a list of 5, 6, 7 people, because by the time May 3rd rolls around, a lot of us are going to forget who said that we're interested. So and also being in touch with them, letting them know, hey, look, we have like this great webinar that we just participated in. Let them know, hey, look, we can go through the Hometown Hero. We can go through different programs that we can get you assistance. Get them really excited about participating in May 3rd. So don't forget, write everybody down. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, you're very
Thank you,
welcome.
Raul.
And
Thank you.
so we
Well,
didn't go over
thank
this in
you.
the class, but I
Sorry, go
gave
ahead.
in the slide deck, I did give you guys the income limits for the county. And again, you guys have your local city and the county. You're going to want to reach out to them to get the similar information. And then in addition, well, actually, I don't have it here, but in the PDF that I that I posted for you guys, you have a list of 2,600 loan officers. It is sorted by city, and reach out to that list and go through the list and find the loan officers, and then find out which one compared to your cities and county programs are available as well. So, and again, after the class, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. Got a CE class tomorrow for 3 hours. But you have a question, or like Mark, you said this, I kind of didn't understand it. You explain it, just let me know, and I'll be glad to help you guys out. But thanks for the invite today.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you. Thank you.
agreeing to teach us this class. Everyone, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for connecting. And if you want to just go over this, you know, to go to YouTube and find all of our classes since they're recorded. Have a wonderful day, guys. Don't forget to sign up your clients for May 3rd. Ciao. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Very welcome. Thanks again. Everybody have a great week ahead.
Bye.
Bye-bye.